Norman Mailer was described around 1978, 1979, 1980, around that time, by the Literary History of the United States, edited by Lawrence Spiller. This is the authoritative text on American literature. Norman Mailer was described as America's greatest living writer. Okay? Now, Norman Mailer went to Harvard University at the age of 16 and did what? He majored in aeronautics. Suddenly, I forget the damn major. He majored in aeronautics, right? And there's a better term, but it skipped my mind suddenly. Out of stage fright here with the camera on. Now, later in life, he writes a book on the moon landing. There's no better writer probably in the world to write on that subject than Norman Mailer. Aeronautical engineering was his major at Harvard University. That's what he got his degree in. He didn't get a degree like in English or anything, or history or psychology. No, aeronautical engineering. And he's later described as America's greatest living writer. Okay, so he's writing a book on the moon landing, and it's called Of a Fire on the Moon. And as I said, there's no writer worldwide better qualified to write about that moon landing than Norman Mailer, with the background he has. He's America's greatest living writer. And he's got a major from no less a place than Harvard University in aeronautical engineering. I can't mention that enough times for emphasis. Okay, in that book, as he's explaining along concepts of time, he mentions CPT, and he explains that CPT means colored people's time. Okay, it's apparently a concept. I'd never heard of it before reading this book. CPT, I'd never heard of it. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, where when I was 18, 70% of the population of Washington, D.C. was black. 70%. This is verifiable by census data. You want to go back and check it? You'll find that what I'm saying is true. So, I've never heard this CPT idea before. But now I'm hearing when I read somebody who majored in aeronautical engineering at Harvard University and is writing on the moon landing that occurs in 1969 with Apollo 11. So, I did not get the impression that Norman Mailer was in any way mocking or making fun of blacks in any way when he discussed CPT. There's not even the slightest derogatory hint in the way he writes on that subject, and he's actually writing about it to try to show how there might be a cultural difference in the way blacks look at time in a white man's world and the way white folks look at time in that white man's world, right? Norman Mailer was a kind of a leftist in his way. How did he describe himself? He said he was conservative. I think he said conservative leftist. Conservative left is where he was on the political spectrum. I believe that's what he said about himself. So This is a man who writes a book called, not book, he writes one of his most famous essays, and what is the title? The White Negro. Okay, so this is all to introduce an experience I had, I'd say within the past year. I go into a public library here in the D.C. area, and I'm at the desk doing something or other. Maybe I'm getting some money added to my library card so I can make copies. I don't know what I'm doing there, but while I'm there, I'm being made to wait. It's taking time, so I'm chatting with the lady who's doing whatever I need to have done, okay? And she's black, okay? Clearly African American, and as I'm standing there, I say, and I'm not being derogatory either. I say, you ever hear the concept CPT? Because I don't know why I'm thinking about it. There must have been some reason. And she said, she gets upset. And she says, you don't want to talk that way. I think, God, I'm being accused. What's wrong? She says, that is a terrible thing to be saying about blacks. This idea, it's terrible. So I try to explain. I say, well, it's in one of the most famous books on the moon landing by a writer that America once considered to be its greatest living writer, and that's where I got that. The lady's upset with me. Well, I wonder, Norman Mailer's essay, The White Negro, this is one of his most famous pieces of writing. How's that being received today? I'm just, for the first time ever, I'm wondering. Because I think I've mentioned that I was working this lowly job in a print shop after I'd been declared to be crazy by the who did this? Can we say anymore that America is the white man's America? I don't know whose America it is now, but I made a big mistake when it did that to me. Anyway, I'm working at this lowly job. Take one paper out of this stack. It's about 2 or 3 feet high. One paper out of that stack, put it here. There's another stack. Take another paper out of there, put it here. Take another paper, put it there. 3 pages, 3 stacks, 2 or 3 feet high. Go back to the first, take another, and you're going to change the direction of these 3-page groupings. Or maybe I stapled each, I don't remember, but that was my job. And the job is in my hometown, a suburb of Washington, D.C., where I grow up. And I'm talking in there. I got a master's degree in American literature, and this is my job. So I'm talking while I'm there at work, and I use the word Negro for one reason or another. And the black, who is from apparently Brooklyn in New York City, he heard me say Negro, and he said, "Wait a minute." He interrupts. He's running the blah 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 blah. Wait a minute. You don't use that word Negro. You say black. He's going to talk to me this way. I was mid-30s. He was probably younger than I was. He's going to. I'm crazy, right? So he's going to school me. I got that term from the D.C. area. He's going to educate me on that word. So I'm wondering now, after that experience, I thought to myself, oh my God, I said the wrong thing. I don't want to do that. And so I'm wondering now, this very famous essay by Norman Mailer, how's it being received today? With the title that it had, The White Negro. Because I gotta say, I don't know, and I'm curious.